Everyone get out!
Greetings, programs! Welcome to Crusader Kings 2. Yeah, this is totally different. And this is actually inspired by the Q&D2 video where someone said, why don't you play some EU4? And I thought, okay, that might be an idea. And then I thought some more and I came to the conclusion that EU4 might be a bit abstract in order to do a video and actually make it really interesting. Whereas Crusader Kings 2, which is by Paradox Development, I can say that, and it's kind of similar. It's the same game engine, but it's got a very different focus, and it's different primarily because you are not just playing as a country, but you are actually playing as a dynasty, a set of characters, if you will. And keeping that dynasty going is actually your prime focus, as well as keeping your land holdings going, increasing your power, increasing your influence. But all of that falls by the wayside if the last member of your dynasty dies. That's it, game over. You've had it. So you have to keep that inheritance line going. So yeah, there are a number of other differences. The prime one being that it's a much more limited map. EU4 you play the whole world. In this, it's Europe, parts of the Arabian Peninsula, North Africa, bit of East and West Africa, and bits of Persia, bits of Russia. So it's, I say, a lot more limited. There's still a heck of a lot to choose from in terms of characters. You go from 867 AD, which is the earliest. The latest fixed start date is Leet, the 100 Years' War. You can also actually manually change that. You can change the years, you can change the decades. So as you can see, it all changes, and you can place the Byzantine Empire. You can take over the world, or the Holy Roman Empire, or France, should you so choose. I'm going to go with the earliest start date because there's some interesting things going on in the Old Gods start date, which was one of the expansion packs. I've got a lot of them, but not all. And when you first started, you could basically play only as Christian kingdoms. You can now play as well, I say Christian, you could also play as Orthodox rulers as well. Now you can play as, air quotes, pagans. You can also play as the Islamic faith rulers. So there's a lot more options. You can play as Zoroastrians if you so desire, which is a bit of a challenge, as there's basically only, I think, 2 Zoroastrian kingdoms over there, and you're surrounded by a lot of people who will attack you at the slightest provocation. So some bits of the map are a lot more challenging to start in than others. Starting as the Byzantines, for instance, not that challenging to start with, but it can get interesting later on. So I will choose a region, I will create a character, and we will actually jump into some gameplay, and I'll see if I can make this at all interesting, because I'm not convinced. I think it'll be easier than EU4 because we're following the trials and tribulations of a single dynasty, but this might be a one-off video. We'll see. I'll be interested to see what the feedback is at the end of it. So, like I said, I will get on with making a character and we'll jump into some gameplay. So here we go. I've started a game and I've decided I'm going to be a bit silly. Now you might have noticed that's slightly odd looking. Yeah, one of the things you can do when you customize your character is you can change their ethnicity and religion. I have created King Jedi McJedi the First. He is of the Aztec faith. Yes, this is going to be my goal for this particular this series, however long it lasts. If it is a series, it might only be one video. I might go horribly wrong. I'm going to convert the British Isles to the Aztec faith. So, starting with Scotland, because why not? That's a thing you can do. So, we've got a couple of decisions have popped up here. I can pick an ambition, which I will do. I will get married, which gives me 10 piety. Bit of extra piety is useful. That lets you do various religious things. I can nominate a successor because it's an agnatic cognate. Oh, it's a tanistry. Okay. With this particular inheritance law, you can basically nominate a successor, and at the moment it's the Duke of Moray, Once I have a son, I will nominate my son as the successor. So potentially, if I died at the moment, well, obviously I'd lose the game. But if I had an heir and I died, that guy would become King of Scotland. But my that wouldn't lose me the game. My family would still, as long as the dynasty keeps going. That's the main thing about Crusader Kings. As long as the dynasty keeps going, you're in with a chance of getting your way back to power. So here we go. The Aztec faith. There are actually holy sites for this, which I think are just random ones. One of the DLC was fairly silly. It basically, one of the events that can happen in this game is you get the Mongol invasion from the east. One of the DLC added an Aztec invasion from the west. That's right, the Aztecs invading from across the Atlantic. Yeah, like I said, it's pretty silly. Anyway, let's actually first off sort out a wife, because that's fairly important. I need some heirs ASAP. I'm also, because I've picked a character whose religion is different than basically all of my court, I'm gonna have an uphill battle trying to convert everybody to be Aztec, so that could be interesting. So we want to pick someone who's actually old enough to have kids, which is obviously useful. I have got quite a strong military trait, so we'll go with that. You can see my character's quite old. The way it works with, well, I say quite old, it's 50. In game terms, that's sort of reasonably old, because bear in mind, this is 867 AD. That's probably past most people's average lifespan of 857 AD. 867, rather. How it works is the better the traits you give yourself, which in my case is Brilliant Strategist and Quick, which as you can see has an effect on all of my stats there. That adds age to your character. So you can start off with a very young character who basically has terrible stats, or you can have a character who is at a maximum 50 years old who has quite decent stats and modifiers. So I've gone for the old but decent stats end of things, but it does mean I need to get an heir post haste. So the traits on this particular character look alright. She's got decent stats there. Traits matter because personality traits interact with each other different ways. So two people with the kind trait, for instance, will have a better personal diplomacy. They'll get on better than if one has the kind trait and the other has the cruel trait, in which case they'll have a negative modifier. So minus 200 prestige. Yeah, I don't really care about prestige at this stage of the game, so let's get it started. Title loss on succession. I can actually create a title when I have enough cash, which I don't at the moment. And that is a ducal title, and you can give people ducal titles, and as long as it's a way of delegating responsibility. You can basically set people as dukes. That increases your prestige, which is the main reason for doing it. Every duke that you have, is you can see there, that actually gives you more prestige. So having a lot of duchies is kind of useful, but if you've got a lot of duchies that don't like you very much, that's bad. You might end up with a civil war, you might end up losing your titles, and you don't want that. So I can get 1 gold, or I can get 200 prestige. I think that's fairly easy. We'll take the prestige over 1 gold, because that's not much. So I got 10 piety out of that, which was nice. I can pick another ambition, which I will do. Improve learning, that'll give me some automatic events at various points. One of the nice things is, if you have particularly bad stats on these, you can pick an ambition to improve it, and it will actually, the game gives you a chance to improve your character stats as you go along. So we've had somebody arrive at the court, that's useful. At the moment I have exactly 1 holding, 1 direct holding. So that's actually kind of risky, because that means I'm really easy to beat. If I had a civil war right now, someone would only need to siege that 1 holding, and that's it, they've won. So that's sort of risky, but I don't have enough money to build more, so I need targets. So the obvious ones are Kingdom of Strathclyde and the Petty Kingdom of Sudrea, which I want that eventually, because hey, it's the Western Isles. That's my hometown, as it were, or my home, area, my home province. I don't know. Orkney, Shetlands, and I think the Faroes are all basically independent counties at the moment, so they're kind of easy pickings. You can declare war on a character on another county at any time, but you actually get a penalty unless you've got a reason for doing it. And because I have a different religion, I can declare a holy war on anyone that has a different religion. And I think that's an effect of being one of the pagan group of religions. So I could declare war on Orkney right now, but I don't have any troops at the moment. So that is obviously... let's look at the military situation. I'll just have a quick look at laws as well. So it's agnatic, cognatic. So there we go. Women can inherit, but only if there are no eligible males. And this is you nominate successors in this one. So I don't have any suitable successors right now. I really I need some sons quite badly. So I don't have that many troops. That is, as you can see there, raised, unraised, and max total. So that's my current pool. That's the total pool. So once that's maxed out, we will raise armies and see if we can take Orkney. That's a fairly easy first target. There's as you can see there, that represents a strait of water that is crossable by land. You don't have to embark your troops onto boats, which they do automatically. You don't have navies in this game, but they do suffer quite bad attrition when moving by sea. So we'll probably fast forward a little bit here. I'll do a jump cut because there's not much happening right now, but once there is something happening, we will come back to it. Well, there's a bit of a turn up for the books. Sudrea actually won the war that they were in, so they now control part of the southern part of Scotland and also East Anglia, which was well known for being controlled by the Norse. And as you see there, Jorvik, Northumberland's basically disappeared. The Danes have taken the whole north of England, so that's now all basically the Danelaw. And the Norwegians are, yeah, this is going to be interesting. One of the things that can happen actually is if the Kingdom of Scotland becomes ruled by a Norse leader, it becomes if it becomes a Norse kingdom, basically the name can change. And there's lots of little events like that in this game, which is quite nice. We'll have a quick look what's happening in the rest of the world as well. There's stuff going on in Francia and Lotharingia, which is interesting. Brabant is fighting for independence. These are all ruled by the Carling dynasty, so you can quite frequently find when you're at this start date, these people will inherit each other, so you can end up with some weirdly large kingdoms very early on, but they tend to fragment as well. And the Byzantine Empire is another one that it will either stick around for ages and ages and do really well, or it will just implode. And sometimes a combination of the two. Sometimes it will do really well for ages and then just implode. So the rest of the map's not looking that interesting so far. Eventually that probably will turn into Sweden, because it generally does, and Norway will probably appear at some point as well. All of these people will have the event decision to form either Norway or Sweden at some point once they have sufficient provinces, because creating titles like that is it's done by control of provinces in this game. If you've got, I think, over 50% of the provinces needed to create a particular title, then it's just a matter of having enough gold to create the title. But you can get a massive prestige bump, especially for creating a kingdom title. You can get masses of prestige for that. So far, not much has happened. I've actually built an improvement in my one holding. You can, in your own holdings and in your direct vassals, you can actually pay to improve them. So I've built castle walls, which we can see has increased, which is 1 out of 5 possible improvements, as you can see with that mouse over. That has improved my levy size, tax income, and fort level. So this is interesting. Sudrea have declared war on me, so this could be quite tough actually. I bet he's got the a lot of the stuff in this. It's driven by character interactions. So this guy, for instance, his desire is to become the King of Scotland, and he's actually just declared war on me. Now this could be tricky because I don't have much in the way of military power. But if I raise all of my armies, let's see what happens. I'll basically be in a defensive war. Now he does seem to outnumber me, so I have to consolidate my armies ASAP and then try and pick off their forces one by one. Defensive wars are easier in a way because war score is determined by occupation and battles won. Sometimes you can have one particular pivotal battle and it will lose you masses of war score. Winning is generally done by you can beat somebody, if you beat their armies repeatedly you can force them to a peace that way, but generally it's better to, if not slower, to actually siege their provinces and wrest control of their nation that way, or not really a nation at this point, but their holdings. But like I said, that can take a while. We actually won that battle, which is quite nice. That army is marching towards Argyle, so they're consolidating that army, which is bad. Now, I wasn't expecting to go to war this early, so we're not really set up for it. I can't particularly hire mercenaries, and I've only got enough troops. Okay. I've only got myself as a leader. You're automatically split into 3 wings because, like I said, because autonomy is at the lowest level, which means I can do relatively little. Wow, they have a lot of troops. Okay, I'm so screwed. Autonomy of that level means that you can raise relatively few troops, you get relatively little tax income. You can increase it till you become effectively an absolute monarch, but that is incredibly popular. I'm trying to get to that process. Yeah, well, it looks like this might be a short game, but the thing is, even if I do lose the Crown of Scotland, it won't necessarily mean that I lose the, I won't have necessarily lost the game. We'll actually let it play out and see what happens. I don't think I can do anything else here at this point, because that was all of my troops. They've basically thrashed me. As you can see, my manpower is now down to 6, my vassal manpower is 155. I'm kind of screwed at this point, so let's just put it up to maximum speed. Rise of the Shia, okay, that's just have a quick look at the religion map, and up till now it's been relatively, it's all been sunny, but as you can start to see Shia provinces appearing there. Europe's still largely Catholic, but there's various other religious groups. One of the interesting mechanisms introduced with the Old Gods expansion was the ability to regularize or reform a faith. So the various pagan faiths can effectively have their own religious leaders, like similar to a pope, and it's an interesting new mechanic that wasn't there before. Okay, this is one of the various character events that comes up. Let's see if I actually did gain a character trait. No. So like I said, danger of having one holding is the fact that I've pretty much lost already. They are sieging my county that I hold directly. They don't even have to siege the rest of Scotland. They just have to siege that one county to actually win. So we'll see what happens when they do. I suspect they will just take the Crown of Scotland off me, and I'll be maybe a vassal to them, or if they take the actual county holding off me entirely, that's it, I've lost the game. But we'll see what happens. Either way, this is going to be a much shorter video than I thought it was going to be. Next time I'll choose an easier country to start with, and maybe choose a different starting date as well, because I think there is a lot of replayability in this game. There's a lot of different permutations, and the further on you play the game, the more radically different the map can look. Sometimes it's fun to even just play a relatively, not too inactive, but you are concentrated. If say you play as one of the dukes in Britain, or you concentrate on Scandinavia, or you concentrate on Italy, somewhere like that, and it can be interesting to, you're just concentrating on your own patch and keeping an eye on what's happening elsewhere, and you can end up with some really weird things happening sometimes. So yeah, even when you're not playing as the Aztec god worshipping King of Scotland. I think one of my most fun recent games, and the reason I had that idea was I played a game where I was the Miaphysite, which is a branch of the Orthodox faith. The king of, I formed the Kingdom of Wales and basically started spreading the Miaphysite faith around, which was quite funny. Come into possession of the... Oh, this is to do with my quest to improve my learning, so I will just click that one, and that will hopefully give me or better learning score. Apologies if you can hear things moving around in the background, by the way. That's I'm actually recording this whilst house sitting for my parents, and I brought my computer over. And there we go, gain 2 learning, and that will, I think, have fulfilled my ambition to improve learning. So there we go. I still don't have any heirs yet, which is slightly worrying. So we'll have ambition, have a son. I'll gain 10 piety for that, so that's quite nice. So one that gets to minus 100%, they can basically force... They can have a peace at any terms they like. They can dictate a peace. And that is really, really bad, because they can do anything they like pretty much, as long as it goes up to 100 war score. Because how it works is... let's click the offer peace screen. If I was making demands, I would select things from a list, and if it added up to more than 100, the 100% war score, you can't have it, basically. So you can only claim so much. I couldn't go to war with France, and let's say I won. Let's just, be wildly optimistic. I couldn't just then say, yeah, I want to have the whole of France. I could have a couple of provinces at most, and I would have a penalty for that, because they would be of a different culture. They would be of potentially a different faith. I'm Aztec, so the whole country is a different faith to me. I haven't even begun to try converting it yet before this particular disaster has taken place. But yeah, it's not like you can just go nuts and conquer the world. It is possible, but it takes a lot of planning, and especially in terms of maintaining a good enough diplomatic reputation. And if you're trying to spread faith as well, that can be particularly, this is a game that is rewarding in terms of setting your own challenges and making your own goals, as well as trying to follow the kind of the personal goals of your character, and setting those kind of things. Yeah, just excuse me for a moment. And we're back. They say never work with children and animals, and it's for a reason. For some reason, these dogs don't have a mute button, which is frankly a design oversight, but not much I can do about it, unfortunately. I'm actually recording this. We're still over an hour from their kind of dinner feeding time, but they're all circling like a pack of sharks. If I let it go 1 minute past their feeding time, then that's probably bad news for my ankles and legs and just lower extremities generally. Yeah, let's speed it up a little bit. Let's hasten the end of this war. They're just winning sieges all over the place. Minus 94%. So the next siege that gets won, that's basically it. So it'll be the siege of Cupar in Fife. And they've won that. Oh, minus 97%. The next one will be in siege of Dunblane. 94%. That surely will tip it up to the 100% war score. And there we go, 100%. So they basically now can dictate any peace terms they like, which in this case is going to be Kingdom of Scotland. And I've just lost Councilman. And I don't have one that I can choose, but I can basically, there is a court decision where I can invite a holy man at the cost of 5 piety, and hey presto, I have someone I can appoint. Now, you don't always get terribly good quality people doing that, but... wait, what? Oh, right, yeah, okay. Of course he won. And apparently he's disappeared again, that's weird. If you appoint people like that, or if you create people, essentially, what will happen actually, and it's quite powerful if you're playing as a different faith or culture group than the one that you're, these guys are all Catholic Scottish. I could invite a person to court and put them in, and they would actually be of the Aztec faith, like that guy is. And if you have an Aztec priest, basically, someone filling the bishop slot, that actually is, they will convert the rest of your court characters slowly, but it's a slow process. So, what has happened? I have been vastly demoted. I am now just a mere count, and yeah, this guy is now King of Scotland, and I actually mentioned that if it becomes a Norse kingdom, it changes titles slightly. So he's actually become now King of Scotland. I did not put up a very good fight there at all, but I did not have the manpower. That guy had loads of manpower in comparison. I think he started off the game with a lot of troops though, whereas I started off with no levies raised. So yeah, so this is if this happened in EU4, if you were beaten like that and they took off your main titles, that's it, game over, you've lost. In this, it's all about the dynasty, and I've got a Labrador here going, please, please feed me, even though it's an hour away, please feed me. Yeah, no, nice try, Labrador. It's yeah, it's all about the dynasty. So the dynasty goes on, the game goes on. I can keep playing, and potentially claw my way back up. So limited crown authority will ignore that. I'm basically now a subject directly of the Scottish king. He's my direct liege. This is the point where it gets interesting because I still need to ensure the dynasty. I've actually, because I was King of Scotland, I have a claim that will be inherited by my heirs. So potentially I could take it back at some point. I could start plotting and intriguing. I could try and foment a civil war in order to take back that title. So the game is a lot more about that kind of politics and backstabbing and intriguing, and as well as kind of attacking people militarily. Although if we are plotting like this, it's a case of it's you know, it does culminate in war eventually. Limited crown authority. Now that matters in terms of what the king can and can't do. So it's in terms of the vassals they can raise, or the levies that they can raise from their vassals and their tax income and all that kind of thing. So what's going on here? He's now at war with Yulland is apparently invading the Kingdom of Mercia, so they have actually been called into that as they're obviously allies with Yulland. And actually the way it works, it's not diplomacy exactly in kind of national diplomacy, it's all down to personal politics. So like you might have a really good relationship with another country, and then that king dies and suddenly the relationship goes south because you don't get on at all with the person that inherited. So it's a personal, you know, in that way. It's not like, oh, the king died but the alliance goes on kind of thing. So marriages are also very important in this. Marriages are a good way to make allies and also potentially get inheritances, which is something I totally ignored when I was marrying. I just wanted somebody that would give me an heir with decent stats. So, as there's not much happening right now, and as there are dogs milling around me and trying to climb on my lap. Yes, hello Meg, hello. Well, I almost wish I had a webcam going right now because this is actually quite funny. There's a dog trying to climb on my lap who thinks she still can because she thinks she's still a tiny little puppy, but she's not. She's a full-sized Labrador. You're not quite lap-sized anymore, Meg. I'm sorry, you're just not. Yeah, I will call this episode here, and we'll come back to it, I think, and maybe do kind of 20-25 minute episodes of this, because even though I was King of Scotland, I have a new plan. I will be king again. I will actually start this just now. We will start converting my county to the Aztec faith, because like I said, I want to spread the Aztec faith to the entirety of I think England, Scotland and Wales, if not Ireland as well. The entire British Isles if I can. So yeah, that could be interesting. Like I said, it's good to have your own goals. This game really is all about setting your own goals and trying to meet them. So if you enjoyed this video, you can hit the like button. If you've got any hints, suggestions, things you'd like to see, if you even thought this was a good idea or a terrible idea, you can say so in the comments below. You can subscribe to my channel, and of course, as always, stay tuned for more.